Hello.
Good morning, everybody.
Welcome to the show. Today we're happy to continue with my brother, Yony Fine.
Kohanim,
גם אני יכולה.
Kohanim, right here.
Stoshek. Are you guys Kohanim?
Yes,
You are
This is
Kohanim.
what Abba told me. Remember, Yael? To go like this, Kohanim, and then do a shape of a heart. Like everybody today is doing something like this, right?
Okay.
All right, we go like this, and
Yes. I don't know if I can do that. That's pretty interesting. Last week, you gave a fascinating interview, both in English and in Hebrew. And we thought to continue what we started because we didn't finish. Last week, you were talking about happiness. And you were talking about 5 things that make a person happy. Four things?
Yeah.
Hold on. You said happiness is body, soul, relationship, and money.
yes. I mean, the balance between those 4 things will enable a person to be truly happy. Truly meaning for a continuous period of time on a regular basis.
Okay, I wanted to touch about that. I wanted to touch on those 4 elements. And then if we have time, we can start what we started in Hebrew, which was your 5-step model for communication. See, I took notes. I want to ask you, obviously money is an important factor in our lives, but why are you saying it's a factor for happiness?
Because I think what we can observe with people is that I've seen it with myself and with a lot of people around me, relatives, brothers and sisters, parents. I saw this happening where people can be balanced physically, they can have a healthy body, and they can have great relationships with their kids, their spouse, and even they can be most of the time positive. But if every half an hour there's a call from the bank, and again, it doesn't feel right to go next to the grocery store because you owe them so much money and you can't show your face over there. So that I won't say cripple the possibility to be happy, but that severely undermines the possibility to remain happy, because money is a subject very important to have it balanced. Because when it's not balanced, it's very difficult to be happy. And so same thing goes for the rest of them. You have a lot of money and your physique is fantastic and usually you're a positive person, but if your relationship are having difficult problems, like let's say with the kids, with your spouse, so you can't be happy because it's something you meet on a daily basis. Money, your body. What can you do? You meet your body every day, your soul, and the money issue is always there. It's always there. So it needs to have a balance. It has to be taught. I mean, I had no idea about money whatsoever, nothing. And it came to my attention that not only that I'm not using it properly, I'm not even thinking about it properly. So I had to learn about it. It's a subject by itself.
True.
And I think a lot of people that I meet, especially at the psychiatric center where I work at, is like they're always troubled with money, and that seems to like make them very difficult for them to think about themselves for a second. Think about maybe they want to repair their relationships, or maybe whatever's going on in their lives, they can maybe put some sort of concentration and think about it, but they can't, since every half an hour it's either bituach leumi, or it's either the bank, it's either somebody that they owe them money, or some trial going on about money, and it's just too much. So once that's balanced, person will be able to get to the happiness. happiness for a very long time. Meaning, when I speak about happiness, it's not a momentarily thing. That's easy. I mean, I go back into my mother's machzan and I drink the whole miniature collection she's got from all kinds of liquors across the world, and I'm happy, right? But nah, I mean, I'm talking about happiness on a regular basis. I'm talking about maintaining a positive view on things, and that has money has to be one of those. Um, I don't know what to call it. I mean, one of those four. I like to think about it as a chair. Like one of those legs of the chair are not aligned. Well, you can still make it happen somehow, like somehow jiggling. You know, like yeah, I'm okay. But if another one goes, another leg of the chair goes, you can still somehow, you know, I'm still here, and there's these wonderful genius people who can still juggle themselves on one leg, but we all can conclude that that's not the way a person wants to live his life. They want to have a stable, happy, healthy, right? Healthy. No, nobody disputes that fact. And why should healthy? Why should a body, somebody's body has to do with happiness? It's the same exact thing. Same exact thing as money, as soul, as relationship.
Okay, but it negates what you're saying, negates people who we know who were poor and yet they were happy. Like if you look at all these Buddhist monks, or if you look at all these people who choose to live their lives alone. So your model for happiness is body and soul, okay, but it's also relationships and money. You're saying that a person who is by himself cannot necessarily be happy. You're saying that a person who chooses to be on a hermit and spend the rest of his life fishing, why anybody would want to do that, I don't know. But there are people that do that. You're saying that he can't surely be happy.
I'm saying that
that's what you're saying.
I'm saying that that person, that monk, that fisherman, he got to his balance as far as money is concerned. He, for some reason, chose
Also, I'm talking about relationships.
with but he's being alone. You're saying?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, of course he can be happy. Of course. I mean, let's just. I thought you were talking about money. Let's say somebody who has a decides to eat like I don't know, bamba, one of them every day. Let's say, and somehow his body is fantastic, okay? And his relationship with money is that he doesn't want to have any money. Let's say, all right, he can be happy. I mean, it's a possibility. As far as being alone, well, you're always with the relationship with yourself. So it's either it's other person relationships or with yourself. And if how do what I mean by relationship is how do I communicate with myself? What's my relationship to myself? How do when I drop something, how do I talk to myself? And whether when there's something to be done, how do I encourage myself? Am I a nudnik? Like, no, when are you gonna do this? Or do I have a better relationship with myself? That kind of coincides with the soul being balanced, but the soul being balanced, it's a different story than relationships. Relationships mainly is how do I refer to this person called me?
Yeah,
Like if I'm alone.
yeah.
Okay, so we're interested in learning more about this communication technique that you developed, and it's about also communicating with yourself, but also with other people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'd love you to expand on that and how you uncovered this and how you use it. So just tell us.
Maybe a little background. This strategy, that's what I like to call it. It's a strategy because I looked up the word strategy, and it's about like putting a target and using all kinds of techniques to make it happen. And for years, I've been trying to find a way, how can I communicate with my students at the beginning um, my wife at the time, my kids, and I saw myself repeating whatever was going on in my house. And I said to myself, that can happen because some of the remarks that I used to hear were not effective one bit, just did the opposite. So I was struggling to find some way to talk to these kids in order for them to understand. I understand they're kids, but they got a brain, right? So how do we talk to them? I mean, that was, especially as a teacher, um, that was one of the miracles that happened to me being a teacher. I had no idea that that's what I'm going to do in my life. I had no idea I'm going to love it so much. I was back in the day a beeper technician. Yeah, I don't know who remembers.
Wow,
I don't know who remembers beepers
you're
and
dating yourself.
a beeper
You're
technician.
dating-
And as soon as I started working as a teacher, I just fell in love with this. I just loved it, and I had to find a different way real quick, because I knew that if not, I'm gonna end up just like the teachers right next to me. They're shouting at these kids and they're going about, and and for me, being in the school was terrifying. I mean, I was a teacher, but I never went into the Chadal Molim, how do you call it, the teacher's room, because I was very delinquent as a kid, used to be there a lot. So, real quick, I had to find something that works real quick. And turns out that there is no such thing as real quick. I was looking for something real quick, but it took me so many years to refine it. I saw something that was working, but not all the time. I needed something that works all the time. And it has to be um, practical in a sense where the kid is going to start talking while you're talking as a teacher. What are you going to do? Are you going to, Chaim, can you please be quiet? What, you're going to say that in front of everybody and use a little bit sarcasm and like maybe pinch him a little bit? It doesn't work. I tried it. What else? I'll tell you what else doesn't work. Chaim, this is the last time I'm going to tell you. Obviously, not the last time. I said it like a million times. I'm going to say it for the last time. So that doesn't work. Punishments don't work. They don't work. They maybe work for a very short period of time or very long period of time, but eventually they don't work. The examples for that will be prison. That's it. They just don't work. They do work because they take the delinquent person out of the streets. He cannot commit crimes, right? But does this person change? Not at all. 80% of people that were incarcerated, 80% of the people who've been incarcerated go straight back in. 80%. Only 20% manage to keep themselves out of the prison. 80.
Or they're not caught,
What?
or they're not caught.
Or then, yeah, I'm just saying the people that were incarcerated. So that it just limits negative behavior for a short or a long period of time. That's what punishment does, and also prizes. I don't like that as well. Giving a person a prize because he was able to be quiet throughout the whole class. So I'll have to like bring a whole lot. I have to own a toy store. It's crazy. Plus, they're like being reinforced on something that's kind of obvious that you should do when you're a student. You should be quiet when the teacher is talking. I don't have to give you a reward for that because that's the case. So I'm going to the police station right after this podcast and tell them that I deserve some kind of plaque, money reward because it's been like over 20, 30 years that I never drove backwards on a freeway. Never did that. And always there was a stop sign. I stopped every time. Yeah.
I'll give you a prize.
I think they're gonna tell me like, what do you want? Like that's what's supposed to do, man. So I saw that rewards and punishments And it had to do with my language. It had to do with the way I communicate, the way I deliver it. And that's where it started, to find the way to do it, especially in my marriage life. I tried to find that way, how to talk to my wife in a way that we can understand each other. And I was doing a lot of reading about it. I mean, all kinds of techniques. For instance, use I sentences instead of you sentences. Are you familiar with that one? It's like they don't tell you why you should use it. They just tell you it's a better thing to use because maybe the other person doesn't feel accused. Like you say, you, okay, but there's so much more to that. We'll get to that when we start talking about the stages. So I used everything. I spoke politely, and I think I was relaxed when I spoke about something that troubles me, but it didn't work. And I never knew why it wouldn't work. And I would even go as far as saying that now I know, had I used it back then in my marriage, could very well be that I've been married today. It could very well be. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of them. I thought I didn't know. I mean, nobody teaches that stuff. Nobody. I mean, I thought that once I know sinus alpha divided by cosinus alpha, that means that you got the tangents alpha. So I'm all straight. I mean, that's what they told me. You go to school, you get educated, and you already know everything. So I thought I got this in the bag. You know what I mean? Turns out no. Turns out that it's a massive challenge. And Chazal say, Chaim v'mavet b'yad halashon, they hit that thing on the nose, really.
Life and death is at your tongue.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Or-
so let's go into the strategy.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
All right.
Or the pen is mightier than the sword.
What's that?
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Ooh,
Mighty.
I like that. I didn't hear that one.
That's not Tova.
I like that.
Huh.
So let's start at the very beginning. Is first thing is I think is important to know that the person that we're going to use this 5 steps is somebody that I want that to be to have some sort of connection with. Okay, usually will be like our spouses or kids. Naturally, I would say maybe peers at your job, your boss. Like you want that job, let's say, and the boss is being whatever. And I want to communicate that. I need to because I want to work there, let's say for over 6 months, a year or so. Okay. All the rest of these people, that's not required. I would say even practice your curses in all kinds of languages. Why not?
Getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one you said was to be calm. What is
Well,
the,
before we get to that, I'm just saying it's important to make that differentiation between people that I want to have a connection with and people that I don't care really. So I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to walk away or just forget about it. And before we continue, a lot of parents, when I ask them, do you want to have a connection with your kid? You want to have a kesher, it's called in Hebrew. Want to have a kesher? And everybody's, yeah, of course. So what kind of connection do you want to have with them? So everybody says in Hebrew, they say, kesher tov. What do you mean? A good connection. What does that mean? You know, it's me and my kid, we should have a good connection. What does that mean? What's a good connection? Because when I start working with parents, I give them a menu and I say, we have 3 special dishes for you here. We have one dish is served a little chilly. It's a nice dish, all right? It includes good morning, good afternoon, how are you, how was school, good night, do you want something to eat? And that's it. It's a very simple, cute, chilly, served chilled connection. It's okay, nothing wrong with that, to have a connection like that with your kid. Hi, how are you, how you doing? That's pretty much it. But then you have a different thing on a menu. It's called a warm and hearty, which is the same of the above. Good morning, how you doing? Good afternoon, how you doing? Do you want to eat something? Plus 15 minutes, 3 times a week of more communication, more talking, and one something that we're doing together, something that we're doing together in the house. That's what it looks like. And then we move to the third one, and that's all of the above. Instead of 15, it's 30. And not only we do an activity in the house, we also go outside. Now, how did I come about pretty much this assumption of how it works? Just take a look. You know people. So you see people having a good relationship, ask them, how many times you guys talk throughout the week? Oh, 3 times a week? Well, how long? Well, sometimes hours at a time, hours at a time. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Let's see what happens over here. And you can see that happening. Let's just jump 20 years into the future. It's the same exact thing. The chilled relationship, which is served, it's a nice one. I'm not saying it's bad. It remains the same. 20 years down the line, the kid comes with his kids and visits his parents, and it's the same kind of relationships. Hi, how are you? How you doing? Oh, how's work? Okay, hey, I heard your kid lost a tooth the other day. Everything, okay, yeah, it's done. There's no further communication. It's the same exact thing for the both others on the menu. So when we're talking
You
about
bombard them with fine. How are you? Fine, fine, fine. Everything's good, good, good. Fine, fine, fine. Good, good, good. Fine, fine, fine. Like being
Yeah.
bombarded with
So if a parent, let's say, is looking, or a husband or wife are looking for have a connection, just try to identify what type of relationship you want.
Okay.
What does it consist, and understand what it consists. Do you really want that? You want it like 30 minutes, 3 times a week? Maybe you're not up for it. Maybe you just want like a like, you know,
Minutes a day times 7 kids. I don't have time for anything else. 30
Come on.
minutes times 7 is, hold on, a lot. 30 an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours every single day.
It was a single week for
Week.
three
A
times
week.
Oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot. I have to rethink my connection with my kids.
I mean, I heard somebody tell me that they're a part of a 12-kid family,
Okay.
and the parents were both working. And what they did, the parents, was that they every day, one of the parents went out with the other kid for like an hour, I think, and they rotated. It was just like, so she knew, like in a week and a half, she has a half an hour with her mother, and another month it's a half an hour with her father. But they knew that on a regular basis, so they were content. They were like, I got my time.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. Wow.
Okay, so let's say,
I think we're not gonna get through the.
no,
communication.
what time is it?
It's like 10 o'clock already,
Oh, wow.
so
Oh, wow.
we have to.
No.
We might invite you for part 3. Okay, so the first one is you have to identify what type of relationship you want. And then the
Yes.
second one was to be calm.
Okay,
Right.
the first stage is called double preparation, meaning I have to prepare myself, and I'm going to prepare what I like to call my client. I know he's my kid, but it's my client because I want to have a cooperation. That's what I want here. So I got to prepare him. And if he's not ready, there's no way I'm starting it. So the first step is I need to relax, and we'll talk about it. I don't know how much time we got right now, but the first step is I need to calm down, because the word relax triggers, like, people go insane with that word. How can I be relaxed? What are you talking about? What is it relax? Oh yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, that's the response I get from people when I say that, especially in Hebrew. Like, calm down is easier in English. Just calm down.
Totally.
That we can do. We understand that we can, but relax it insinuates, like, I don't know, the Bahamas or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, we're not talking about being relaxed to that point, because if you're relaxed, nothing will bother you at all. So I'm just saying it should bother you. And if it bothers you, it's a good thing. Let's say you just finished mopping the floor and a kid walks in with mud. I love that. Even though I never saw that in my life, but I like that. Okay. It should bother you. You're a human being, and you're working with your logic, and you're cleaning, And this is not supposed to happen. When it does happen, that bothers you, upsets you, and should upset you. So now you got to calm down, and you got to think of 3 logical reasons why does this bother you at all. And I add the words "at all" on purpose, because many a times we would see that we can't understand why this is bothering us. I'll give you an example. I saw my daughter sitting on the couch one day, and I was alarmed by it. Alarmed, like, wow, as if what happened here? And I go, hey, what are you doing on the couch?
Why shouldn't she be on the?
Yeah, so luckily for my daughter, I was learning at that time psychodrama. And for years, even years before, I used to take myself aside and talk to myself like, Yoni, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? What's going on? Take a look. She's sitting on the sofa. I'm like, yeah, I understand. But what's going on? Hello? What? Am I blind? Are you blind? You can't see what's happening? Because yeah, but why would it bother you? I'm like, what? I don't know. And then in a second, split second, it all came back to me. When I was a kid, it was not allowed to sit on the couch. Like, what are you sitting on the couch? You don't have any homework? What? You don't have things to do, chores, this, that, your room, you got to clean for Pesach. Yeah, but we're only in like January. Don't matter. Start now. You can't sit on the sofa. Come on. And the sofa, it felt like as soon as you sit down, there's like sirens going off or something like that. So once I saw my daughter, like, wow, what is it, 20, 30 years later, sitting on the couch, I was like, whoa, what's going on? And since I did not have a logical response of why would it even bother me, I let it go. And I apologize. And the way I apologize to my kids, I don't say I'm sorry, because I don't understand what that means. If I say I'm sorry, so like I'm supposed to be sorry now. Like you say, I'm sorry. You can't say it like that. You gotta say, I'm sorry. Sorry is like really sad. I'm not sad. So I say, it's mine. That belongs to me. That oops over there, that's mine. The shili. It's not yours, the shili. And that way, it got reciprocated to the point where the kids telling me that the same exact terminology. They say, you know what, Abba, it's mine, it's mine.
Beautiful.
I own it, I own it.
I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, so now you're calm. You've prepped your kid. You've prepped yourself.
How do you prepare
Okay.
your client?
Now, the other preparation is, I need like at least 5 minutes to explain it, because this is very, very important. Do we have 5 minutes?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
But
So,
these are coming back next week because we're not going to finish all the.
of course, I mean, it takes time. I mean,
Be a
it's like-
regular guest on the Shmooze.
I mean, we're talking about something like almost 35 years of trying to find this strategy and learning about it a lot. So everything here counts. It takes, like when we use it, it's less than a minute. Communication, less than a minute. It has to be less than a minute, but we have to understand how it works. So my main objective here is never to trigger the defense mechanisms of my client. That's what I want to do. So the reason I'm getting won't say relaxed, sorry, I calm down, and it might take an hour, it might take days, it might take months. Seriously, I mean, I've been working with parents that take them a long time for a good reason to calm down. And that's one of the reasons, because if I'm not calm down, I'm going to trigger the defense mechanisms even before I speak. They can notice that with the shape of my eyebrow, or the way I look, or the tone of my voice, or whatever. So I don't want to do that. So I need to calm down. Plus, when I'm relaxed at a certain point where it still hurts me, the idea, but I'm not passionate about it, I'm not negative about it. So that would enable me to get into creativity, humor, flexibility, patience, all the good stuff. And if I'm not calm down, so there's no way you can enter those places. You can't. It's like saying, yeah, I like very funny stuff. Yes. And yeah, I like to laugh all the time. It's just like, it doesn't work, it doesn't sell. You can't access those places. On the contrary, you can access, if you're angry, oh, you can access confusion, despair, rage. You can go ahead and tap into that when you're not calmed down. That's not a problem.
So what you're saying is that we can, the minute you're relaxed, you're more available to different outcomes. You're not set on one possible outcome. Is that what you're saying, that I understood you correctly?
No,
You're
not
allowing
necessarily.
you're
The
allowing
idea,
other things to enter into the equation, like you said, humor and creativity and flexibility. And then, so you're not you're not locked down on
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
yeah, one way to say that, yes. The whole idea was that I cannot tap into creativity or mental flexibility or creativity when I'm not calmed down, because that's a different neighborhood, right? Right, when I'm not calmed down and I'm with negative emotion, which I say again is not only justified, it should be. Negative emotion should arise when something that you dislike, let's say, and you have 3 good reasons why you dislike it. You should feel negative emotion. I think negative emotion is here to tell us something about it, just like a headache is here to tell us there's a problem. Okay, but now if I'm still in there and I go ahead and call everybody, you won't believe what just happened, and this person told me this and this, and you get all excited. It takes a while to relax even more. And if I'm going to communicate while I'm on negative emotion, it's gonna backfire, and it's not going to go through, and most of the cases be counter-effective.
So you're saying in order to be relaxed, truly relaxed, you also have to be aware of the emotion, of what you're trying to relax from. Like there needs to be some sort of awareness. And then you can, okay, I'm mad at, my kid is sitting on the couch. I'm mad at her for sitting on the couch. And then you become aware of yourself, meaning you're not acting or reacting instantly.
Yes,
So
because exactly.
Space to give yourself space from the person and from the event.
Yes, because if I communicate while I'm angry, defense mechanisms would just block everything, and nothing will come in.
So I'm going back to my question, how do you prepare your client?
Okay, so when I want to communicate, I want to prepare the client. I want to see that if it's possible for him or for her, let's say that these are triggering the defense mechanisms. And what happens when they feel like threatened, they start shooting, and there's a lot of walls going up here and all that stuff. So all I'm asking is, I can never ask a person to take his defense mechanisms and put them aside. Never. No one ever is going to do that, because they're there to protect them. From what? We'll explain in a second. But all I'm asking is that instead of having the fingers on the trigger, just put it next to the trigger. That's all I'm asking from it. Now, how do we do this? What are they defending, the defense mechanisms? Mainly from shame and guilt. And those 2 words are not enough to explain what that means. It means the feeling of, I'm not worthy. I don't belong. It's a shame that I was created. I'm a loser. I'm a nobody. Those 5 come from a very extensive research done in Britain for something like 20,000 boys. And they were asked to share in words, what do you feel when you feel shame and guilt? And that's what they came up with. The 5 top ones were, I'm a loser, I'm a nobody, I don't belong, I wish I was never born, and I said, those 4. So anybody would feel like even suspicious that a person is here to wipe me out and give me that feeling, to tell me that I'm a loser, I'm a nobody, I'm no good, I need 10 there's so many words to define that place. They're gonna just block it right away. They won't let that happen. So I need them to just put their fingers over here. So what I do is very gently at the very beginning, I start like this. I say, excuse me, can I ask you a quick question? Now, I'll never approach my kid when he's in the middle of something very interesting. I'll just wait for a break a second and then ask him, excuse me for a second. And the reason I say, excuse me, is for the pure reason that I bother people because they think all the time. Even somebody who's sitting on the couch doing nothing, he's thinking. Now, just as I don't like people approaching me and going, hey, Masha, what? Hey, where is the other? Whoa, excuse me. Like in the States, it's very, everybody uses that terminology. In Israel, if you use the word excuse me, it goes as slicha. Like I beg your forgiveness. And it's not really what I'm looking for. Like, excuse me a second. I don't know how to use that terminology exactly, but in English, it's perfect. It goes, excuse me, can I ask you a quick question? A quick question is really a quick question. And if a person says anything but yes, you say, not a problem. I'll come back later.
I
Now,
think
why am I?
that's brilliant because it gives the person, respect. It shows that you're talking to them like, I'm not talking down to you, I'm talking to you. And it also gives them the opportunity to say, no, I'm busy. I think that's really, like, I think sometimes with our nearest and dearest, we forget to be polite.
Right.
You know, we forget, like, we treat them like,
Obvious.
yeah, and we forget that we would treat strangers
Right.
with more politeness and more consideration
Right.
than we do with our the people that live with us and have to put up with us. Like, you wouldn't go out to a stranger and say, give me your phone, right? or get off the toilet, We would start with that, that distance, excuse me, pardon, I'm Canadian, so I would say pardon me, but like, there's that space of, I'm giving you respect, and I'm also allowing you the opportunity to say, okay, not now. And like sometimes we should treat our family members like we treat strangers.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, sorry.
Yes, I totally connect to what you're saying. And I want to add one of the biggest forces in the universe to this equation is called curiosity. Once I do that, usually what happens to kids, like, whoa, you wanted to say something? Once I say, like, no, it's okay, I'll come back later, they stop everything. Why is that? Not always. Don't take my, not always. But curiosity, if we learn a little bit about that word, people did the most bizarre and dangerous things just because of they're curious to see what happens. Curiosity is so strong that would enable us to have our client take his fingers off the trigger. Curiosity alone will do that. And the more time, let's say, he denies us at the very beginning, let's say, excuse me, can I ask you a quick question? No, I'm not. Oh, it's okay. You come back the next time and you say the same exact thing. You say, are you still busy, or can I ask you a quick question? No, I'm still busy. You go back again. You know what happens to this curiosity at that point? He can't concentrate on anything. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? Wait, this person came to me at the beginning, asked a quick question. I said no. And then he came back again, did not raise his voice. No, it's just the same exact thing. What could it be? What can it be? It drives them nuts. And I'm going to use it some more when I say, if they do turn around and I notice that they're here to listen for this quick question, I will ask them this question. I want to share with you something that's over here. And I need less than a minute of your time. And I was wondering if this evening, let's say 8 o'clock, would be a good time for it. That's my question. Now, normally kids would say, if it's less than a minute, go ahead and shoot, right? Go ahead. And then this is where the parents have to lie. I'm busy. I got a phone call. I'm hungry. I got laundry to do. I wish I can do it. I need to be concentrated. I know it's less than a minute, but I got so many things going on, this headache going, whatever. Why do we do this? Because the kid is going to start going nuts. Like, what could it be? What could it be? Less than a minute. It didn't go like this. It didn't go like, listen, I want to share something with you. And it's going to be, no, it wasn't like that. It was like, listen, I got something I want to share with you right over here. And it's going to take less than a minute. I wanted to know whether or not 8 o'clock today will be good, or maybe tomorrow. And the kid goes, what? And I repeat it because they don't understand what I said. I'll just say it again. I want to share something with you. I want to talk to you. Talking, is like, we're gonna have you'll say something, I'll say. Sharing is like, I want to share something. That's really what I want to do. It comes right over here. That's true. And it's gonna take less than a minute, and not right now, later on. What do you say?
Love it.
So
Love
let's say, so the big challenge for the parents is to lie. Really, they have to lie with it, because the kids are gonna nudge you big time. They're gonna say, what? Just what is it? So what is it? Is there something wrong? Says, no, everything's okay. I could have said that. I just want to share something with you later on. I'm just too busy right now. 8 o'clock will be fine. 8 o'clock. All right. Let's say we get to that point. I'm almost finished with preparing them. I need to say these words to them.
Okay.
Before I start the whole communication. I said, listen, the reason that we're here is because I care for you. I love you. I don't want to intimidate you. I don't want to blame you. I don't want you to feel unpleasant at all. That's not my agenda here. Okay. And if you feel throughout my communication, which is going to be less than a minute, that you feel unpleasant, you feel like I'm blaming you, you feel like, I don't know, something in my eyes, my eyebrows, the way I spoke intimidates you or something, you're going to go like this, and I'm going to stop. So usually the kids go, well, what do you mean? I mean it. I want you as a parent to stop me, because the rationale is that if his defense mechanisms are rising, I want him to tell me about it. I don't want to guess. And I'll stop. And then let's say the kids say, okay, I will. I don't continue until I verify that. And I say, are you going to stop me? And I smile when I say, you're going to stop me? You're not going to, are you just saying it? I want you to, are you going to stop me? Because I'm not going to communicate anything, because the curiosity at that level is so high. It's like, okay, I'll stop you. Are you really going to stop me? It's like, yes. And that's when I start doing it. When he's open, I see his opening. He's letting go of his triggers, and he's ready to listen for less than a minute. And I have to be, of course, as we said at the very beginning, relax. And I got 3 reasons, and it's not going to be a lecture. It's less than a minute. Nobody can listen more than a minute today. I mean, take a look at Instagram, TikTok, whatnot. It has to be less than 30 seconds to interest people. So that if that requires us to take all our knowledge and to sum it up in 3 little, let's say, pointers, so let's do it.
Okay, I have a few questions actually. One, does this actually work with spouses? And is that because we're talking about just about children? So I just want to clarify that this actually works with
anybody that has defense mechanisms.
And the second thing I want to ask you is, okay, so you've gotten their curiosity, they're interested, they're opening, and something's really bothering you. How would you sum that up in less than a minute?
We'll take an example, but first I want to answer a lot of questions that I know they are being asked. And I just want to answer that. Only if there's sirens and ambulances driving to take care of what's happening, we just use this type of communication. I'm just saying it in a different way. Emergencies, sirens going off, we don't use the 5 stages. We don't use them at all. Meaning, let's say a 5-year-old kid says, I want to stay in the house. I'm not going to gun today. We're not asking you. We're not going to talk to you. We're not going to be relaxed. And we even can raise our voice. We can do whatever we want. We take him by force if we need to. That's what we have to. If we see that he wasn't like hurt or something, just, nah, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. No, you're going. If I have to use force, I'm taking you. If you're like 5 years old, up to 5, 6 years old. Okay, anything that would be alarming and could be pikuach nefesh, like I was saying, in an emergency, we don't use the 5 stages at all. So when I say that, let's say I just finished mopping the floor and the kid comes in the living room with the mud on his shoes. Are any sirens going off? The ambulances are on the way. Is this an emergency? No, it's not. All the clothes were on the floor. Do you hear the sirens going off? I don't. So that's not an emergency. So it bothers you? Fantastic. So we need to calm down, find those 3 reasons, and less than a minute, we can communicate them beautifully. The person understands for once. For once, he really understands. Why does he understand? Because there's no defense mechanisms blocking the signal. Like, whoa, that doesn't make sense. Oh, I'll take that in heart. That's it. That's pretty much it. So a lot of people tell me that I tried 9 million times to talk to my kids. And I always say, you never spoke to your kids because they always have defense mechanisms. You think you're talking to your kids. Their ears are right next to you. Their eyes are looking at you, but they're not there. You're talking to a defense mechanism, and a very sophisticated one and an advanced one. So if you want to talk to your kids, you need to calm down first thing and make sure he's ready to receive less than a minute information. And I always conclude by saying that once I'm done, I'm going to leave. You know, if you want to comment, you want to respond, let's say tomorrow, following hour or something like that. Let what I'm saying to him sink in. It doesn't have to be a back and forth. I just want to share with you something. That's all. What am I doing here?
If we go back to the issue of like the kid, the example that, you know, on mud on the floor. So if I'm talking to the kid about it hours later, I mean, who's going to say I'm going to remember about it? And who's going to say it's going to bother me? Like, what you're saying is that you're sharing with the kid to make them better human beings, right? Because it wouldn't bother you hours. Like if you're saying wait hours later, you know, you do the whole thing, you relax, and by that time the floor is probably very dirty.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, what bothered me, like, I find the 3 reasons why it's bothering me, because I feel like it's inconsiderate to the efforts that I did. And it could be that I want my child to be aware of, like, when you enter the house, what's the condition of the house, and maybe think about it, you know. I find the reasons why it's bothering me, and then I can communicate that, because they don't understand if it's just arbitrary. If I just don't step on and just wash the floor, it doesn't make any sense to them, because, you know, I have to understand it myself, why I want to communicate this, why it's bothering me. And maybe some of the stuff will get lost on the way. So maybe some of the stuff I say, okay, it's not such, it doesn't bother me that much. You know, maybe I didn't find a good reason why it bothers me, or maybe it's mine. Maybe this is something that's only mine, and I don't really need to communicate it.
Interesting.
I think, Tova, also you said that, you know, it takes me, let's say 3-4 days to calm down from something, right? So that meant that bothered me. So I need to communicate that. Why? Because in Hebrew, the word education is chinuch, right? And what I understand from chinuch is like the Chanukat Habayit, when you, how do you say, what's the word when you cut the ribbon thing and you, what's the word, Chanukat Habayit in English?
Groundbreaking ceremony, I think.
Something like it's a new thing. It's always a new thing, right? So once you're able to lechadesh something, meaning your kid all of a sudden has a new understanding about something, that's a chinuch.
Okay.
He has a new understanding. It's like, oh, now I see that. Why would this bother you? Because I never knew what just you were yelling all the time. But now I understand. That does make sense. that actually does make a whole lot of sense.
So for the
Wow,
future, you're saying.
and then he'll
so that
go,
the kid
sorry,
doesn't
Mom,
do it
I
for
didn't
the
know.
next-
What's that?
So it's for the future, for that the kid
Oh,
doesn't. do it
yes,
for the next-
I mean, sometimes, Tova, what I do is write it down. I need to communicate this because I don't have time right now, but it is important. Like, let's say, even leaving dishes somewhere and not taking them. And it's not that it bothers me to take it myself, but it's important for me that they should know that this behavior will bother them later. That's my job as a parent to let them know about it. So I write it down. And you know what happens, Tova? Like, let's say a month later, I get to it. Really, I'm very busy. So let's say a month later I get to it. I wrote it down to myself. I want to talk to this,
Pile of things.
you know, I got this kid, I want to communicate this thing. And then they look at me a little weird when they say, wow, that happened like a month ago. And you're bringing it up. I guess it's important. And I say, I know it happened a month ago. I know. You might think, why am I even bringing it up? But it's important.
Yeah, fair. I
That's
like that.
beautiful.
I like that. Oh my God, that we should merit to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it saves a lot of money. It saves a lot of time doing this. I mean, unless people like going back and forth. Hey, I told you, and they feel I'm not joking. I mean, they feel that perhaps if I raise my voice and I go da 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 da, that's the way to educate. Maybe that because I saw that there's movies, there's books about it. Maybe it was done upon me. So that's the way to go about it. But I'm saying the way I saw it, it just it damages much more than it does good. And you know, I never like talking about it like that, and it sounds like I'm being harsh about it. But the reason I came out to talk about this in the first place is because a lot of pain. What I see happening in the psychiatric unit where I work is a lot of damaging communication over the years causes a lot of serious mental issues. It just does. And every time we see a person like that, we're like, whoa, maybe he was born like that. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was a kid. And I'm not blaming anyone, but dominant people in their lives, the kids' lives were very, very difficult with their communications. Very, very difficult. So that's usually what happens. So in order to prevent that and to have a healthy household where the communication is good, we understand each other, and we do get upset, which is okay. Everybody's going to get upset. I mean, in one house, and there's kids with different ages and different sexes. Whew, that's like a great recipe for a lot of mess going on and arguments and all that stuff, which is a healthy thing. Which is not healthy is like violence and then difficult communication, which causes a lot of problems. But if we know how to work with it, oh, it's a blessing. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
So thank you. We're wrapping up.
We're gonna continue next week because
Really?
yes, because we only did one. He's got 4 more to go. I feel like
The rest 4 are very fast. The rest of the 4 stages are very fast. The longest one to explain is the first one.
I'm being left in suspense.
Okay.
So stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna be back next week if it's okay with you, Yoni.
Of course. Of course. I appreciate it. I told you, the more people I'm able to reach about this subject is the less people I meet in the psychiatric unit, for real. And in my clinic, I don't want to see them.
Wonderful.
So my bracha to you is that really you find another job, that your job isn't needed. That people find and use these methods of communication and being and doing, so that you can develop your other talents, and so that people know how to communicate and be effective communicators and be happy. Because I think if you know what you want, I think you're happier.
Right.
Of course.
So next week, stay tuned. We will continue with number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5.
No.
Thank you for the opportunity. Tova&Yael, thank you.
Yoni, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week.
Okay,
on the Shmooze.
Bye.
Bye.
Good.